All right, so hello. We're going to talk about clove oil today. And I just want you to know that when I'm talking about essential oils, I'm only talking about doTERRA essential oils. I'm not talking about any other kind of oil, and that's because doTERRA is the top. We strive very hard to be the top. There are other companies who try to say that they're like doTERRA, and they're just not. It would take too long. We've been doing this for 11 years, and we've really perfected it. I do have lights on. I'm like, it seems kind of dark, and we've really we perfected it. So we're the leading in that, and we're the leading in lots of other things. But I always provide links. So if the oil that I talk about today is something that you are interested in, don't worry, you can get your hands on it. You can get just an oil, just that oil, or you can get started with like a full kit if you wanted to, like I did. So you can get a membership in the oil or just get started with a full kit. Okay, so don't forget to put loves and like my videos and share my videos. And hi Kayla, I just became friends with you again. It's so great to see you guys all grown up. Victoria and Kayla, both of you guys are on here. It's so amazing. Go ahead and share my videos, like my videos, and all of those great things. So you can also join my education page where I actually post things a lot. So I don't post a lot of things on my personal page. I do education on my personal page because I think everybody needs to know about these wonderful things that I do know. And hi, Kelly. And so, so there is an education page if you're interested in joining that as well. So today we're going to talk about clove oil. And this oil is an amazing oil. I've used it many times. It's my go-to oil specifically for my teeth. So I've had anything going on with my teeth, especially if I have occasional pain, especially if I'm waiting to go see the dentist and I need some support at home. This is an oil that I use. It is definitely one that everybody needs to have in their home. And I'll tell you why. Do you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Okay. So here we go. So clove oil, let's talk about the wellness. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell you about the actual emotional benefits of having clove oil in your home. So let's start with wellness. So I already told you anything that has to do with the teeth, the gums, especially if you're waiting to go see the dentist, is a great time to have this oil. It's kind of, it's considered a hot oil. And so when I have that issue inside of my mouth, I actually don't dilute it because I want the effect of the hot oil on my gum. It's not going to burn my gum or anything like that, but it does have an analgesic effect to it. It's one of its main properties is it's an analgesic. And the other reason why I like to use it for my teeth in that situation as well is because it's anti-infectious and antiviral and antioxidant. It has lots of good things in there that can help start to really work on that tooth so that you can get to the dentist. And hopefully when you get to the dentist, they'll say, well, I don't really see much to do any work on. I mean, that's the goal. Like, you really don't want to have to spend a ton of money at the dentist office, because all of us adults know when you get to be in adultdom, that dental tends to be a thing that causes an issue on our pocketbooks. Lots of root canals that they try to throw at you and lots of things of that sort. So teeth issues, especially a lot of us who grew up in the 80s and drank a lot of Coca-Cola, which if you watch the videos on YouTube, if they take a tooth and they put it in the Coca-Cola, it totally destroys the tooth. It like eats the whole tooth apart. So for those of us who loved Coca-Cola growing up, that tended to be an issue when you got to be an adult. Those people who've had babies, the teeth tends to have an issue with that as well. So this is definitely a great oil to use in that situation. So the next thing, why I actually like to use this emotionally, but I'll tell you why in a second. But let's go for other reasons. So I already told you it's analgesic. It's an anti-infectious, anti-parasitic, antiviral, and an antioxidant. So that's really awesome. Make sure that you use it diluted because it will burn your skin. You're not going to get like a burn, but it will be definitely hot. You're going to be like, oh my goodness. If you get it on your lip, like right here, you might be a little hot. And so it's what's in On Guard right here. On Guard is our protective blend, our immunity blend. It's in this. And so if you're using this one and it tends to be a little warm, that's why. It's good because of the cinnamon and the clove that's in this. So one cool thing that doTERRA does is they have an On Guard toothpaste. Remember, in On Guard is clove, which is awesome. Myrrh is myrrh in here? If not, myrrh is super amazing for you. Oh, it is. Myrrh is in here, which is great for your gums. It's like a great gum oil, and I'll get to that when I get to myrrh. But there's lots of oils in here that are really good for your teeth health. So clove is one of them, and it's in here, okay? So a really great reason to use this oil, or anybody who has an issue with their endocrine system, especially if you're having issues with, say, your thyroid system, the system of your thyroid and that healthy function of all of that. This would be a great oil to use. Dilute it down. You can just put it right, right there, and really kind of just daily, 3 times a day or whatever, to support that system. Okay. Or is it adrenals is thyroid? I can't remember which one it is. Anyway, it supports that system. Okay, the next reason why some people like to use this is people who are trying to quit smoking. And so it's a good oil to use along with basil and black pepper. Basil, black pepper, and clove are good oils to use. And interestingly enough, for those smokers out there, people who are still smoking, if you've ever smoked a clove cigarette, this is exactly what that oil smells like. Exactly. So, I mean, seriously, when you open it up and smell it, you're like, oh yeah, this smells like clove cigarettes. So pretty awesome. So that's one reason why people like to do this. If that's something that you're going through and you need some emotional support through that, this would be a great oil to use for that. And we already talked about the immune support properties. So because it's antiviral, antiparasitic, and anti-infectious, that's why it's inside of On Guard, which is our immunity blend. So definitely use it for your immune system. And you could take this in a capsule. I don't know about putting it under your tongue because it's a hot oil, so I'm not sure I would do that. But you might be able to rub it on the roof of your mouth. You might be able to handle that okay. But definitely just putting it on your body, like the bottom of your feet, your spine, things of that sort, the back of your neck, whichever, you could do that for your immune support. And then if you're looking, it's a great detox oil as well, specifically for putting it, I want to see how I can put that. Specifically for supporting the liver. And so this is a good oil to use that for that. And so I would put it, so like those people so I did a lot of learning about, what was I learning about? Oatmeal. I was learning about oatmeal and the effects of oatmeal on fatty liver, because fatty liver is actually, people die more from fatty liver than they do from alcohol liver, right? And so fatty liver, you get that just from eating too much fat. Just like you clog your arteries in your heart, you can actually clog your liver all up in the same way. And so fatty liver, a lot of people need liver transplants because they have so much fat in the liver and their liver no longer functions. So when detoxing that area of your body, you could actually look at clove oil, and I would go ahead and dilute that down and go ahead and put it on the liver, which I think is on the left side, right side, can't remember. And then you can actually put this in a capsule as well and take it daily. So it says rub over the liver, over that reflux point. And so when helping that system, that's what you can do. Now, of course, if you have a fatty liver, you're going to need to stop eating fat, like saturated fat. Like there's definitely a whole diet that would go with that, where you just can't eat anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's just not how you're going to do things anymore. Life has changed, and this is the new way of doing things, right? You've just eaten too much of that or whatever caused your fatty liver, okay? If you have that. But rheumatoid, so the rheumatoid system, so let me just say, that's not even a system, so I got to say it right. Got to say it in compliance. So give me a second to think about how I'm going to convey that to you. Give me a second. So anybody who has occasional pain in their joints and things like that, you can use clove oil. And that would be a good oil that you can actually put in that area as well. It says to massage diluted to the affected area that you're having trouble with. Okay. All right. So that's the wellness part of it. Let's talk about my favorite part, which is the emotional part of it, because everything that we have inside of our body is actually manifested from the things that we're not dealing with in our life. And so, emotionally, if you are dealing with, let's see what they are. Oh, this is going to be great. Oh, I'm so excited for you to learn this. Okay, here we go. So, clove is the oil of boundaries. So, give me 1 second. All right, so if you're reading this book right here and you're trying to learn this in your life, is how to set healthy boundaries with people. Inflammation of joints. Thank you, Kelly. You're always so good at that. I really like that. Thank you for your help. So yes, so thank you for making that clarity. She said inflammation, occasional inflammation of joints, and probably inflammation of the body at that point. So thank you so much. Inflammation in many areas. Thank you. Okay, so boundaries, if you are reading this book and you're trying to learn how to set healthy boundaries with people, this would be such a great oil to use with this book. Like they're companions, they're best friends. You don't do one without the other, like really, this is such a great book for anybody who hasn't read this book on how to draw healthy boundaries with people, to one, protect yourself, because it is in the protective blend, but also for self-love, right? So let's talk about that. We talked about, there's several oils that talk about the victim mentality and feeling like life is happening to you instead of for you. Well, this is one of those oils that you can use for that, in conjunction with the other ones that I've talked about as well. But for people who feel like they're really influenced by other people, and that happens when we feel like other people got it, like know how to do this thing called life better than we do. And we're like, oh, we ask everybody like, oh, what should I do about this? And what should I do about that? And everybody probably knows better than I do. And we kind of live in that kind of space. If you're living in that kind of space, then you definitely want to use clove oil. If you perceive yourself as being powerless, to change situations in your life, it's a great oil that you can use. Hi, Darian, how are you doing? So you could use this oil as well, which goes along with boundaries. It also will help you feel more courageous and want to help you want to stand up more for yourself and be more proactive in life, and understanding that you make your own choices, that you can make your own choices. It's great oil for people who grew up maybe in an emotionally abusive relationship, an unhealthy relationship, or maybe got married into one of those types of relationships, a very controlling relationship, where they start to feel powerless and start to feel like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I am good. Thank you. So these people might feel really powerless. This is a great oil for you to reach for, to really start to help you move into a different way of thinking, in a different way, a different space, because that stuff happens kind of over time. And so use this oil like 3 times a day and really just smell it and just let it be a part of your new experience. So it will it's a great oil when you're journaling and journeying through feelings of self-betrayal, feelings of codependency, and it will help you really reconnect in with yourself and your own personal integrity. So we talked about boundaries in this book and using it with us, because it's a really good idea to start to learn how to build more appropriate boundaries and good defenses. Sometimes sometimes playing offense isn't always the best way to do it. Sometimes we need to have good defenses for ourselves as well. So if you're a person who has a hard time saying no, like you're just, yeah, I'm going to say yes to everything. Anything anybody asks me to do, I'm just going to say yes, because I don't know how to say no, or I feel like I'm here because I have to, serving people is good, but not when it becomes unhealthy, right? You're just serving too many people. And so this is a really good oil to use. I would use this over my heart because it's protective, probably over your feet. I mean, on the bottom of your feet, smelling it in would be a great thing to use this oil as well. And maybe along your spine to give you a little bit more spinal support, you know, through these emotional things that are happening to you, so you can stand up strong and you can feel more confident within your own integrity. Okay. So it will, oh, it's so good for childhood issues. So so a lot of us are starting to understand now that things that have happened in childhood do affect you as an adult. So even though you package those up in little packages, very nice, cute little packages, and put them away somewhere, and some of us are starting to look at those things and really starting to see how they've affected us in our as we become adults. This is a really good oil to support you through that. It's great for the inner child work. It's great for inner child pain and trauma, and maybe even some abusive things that come up for you. It's a good oil for that, because uh, it can help you on a cellular level. There you go. Not, I usually say cellular level. I'm going to say a cellular level. And so it really can help that breaking, like that fragmented and breaking soul. So it's great for breaking free of patterns that are abusive in nature, and are making us feel once again like the world is happening to us instead of for us. Um, let's see. It'll help you to live in your true self and help you to set those clear boundaries. All right. So, because here's the thing, if you're doing healing work and you're starting to look at yourself like a lot of us are, um, and you become very vulnerable as you start to look at things in your past, and everybody has something in their past, whether it's abuse, or whether it's horrible like abuse or trauma or something like that, to something as simple as just being made fun of like in class or something like that, or maybe some boy or girl didn't really like you the way that you hoped they did, and that hurts a child. Maybe you didn't feel like, you know, you were good enough for that person, or maybe you had like every day never felt you were good enough, like every day you were told that you were worthless or horrible or whatever, right? So if you got messages like that, this is a great oil for you, because when you do that work, in which I've done a lot of that work, it's almost like every time you peel a layer of the onion, you're kind of sensitive at that point. And if people are used to running over your boundaries and they're used to just coming in, and one, you're going to be afraid to do the work because you're going to be, hi, Brandon, how are you? You're going to be too afraid to do the work because you're going to not want to feel vulnerable. You're going to be like, oh, well, I can't feel vulnerable because if I take that wall down, then you know, I'm not gonna be strong. Like, I'm not gonna be able to handle when my family does that kind of joking with me, or I'm not gonna be able to handle if this situation comes up, and I can handle it now as an adult, but if I feel those feelings like I had when I was younger, like a child, there's no way. I'm just gonna cower. I'm just gonna not be able to do it. So this oil can help you through that, because you need to be able to use this book and set good, healthy boundaries using this oil clove, so that you can start to do your work. So you can you can be vulnerable. You can look at those things that made you scared as a child. You can look at those things that made you cry as a child, that hurt your feelings. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, like I'm serious, like those things that really made you want to hide under your bed, or made you want to hide under your desk, or made you want to run away, or made you want to not be you. Right. And if you're doing this type of serious work where you're trying to figure out who you really are, and what are you doing here, and why are you here, that type of work, you need an oil like this. You need an oil like clove to help you build those boundaries, because anybody who has trouble with people running over their boundaries, that's that there's a lot of fear around that. And so no wonder why some people don't want to do that type of work, because you have to first set these boundaries. And that's totally what I did. I set these boundaries and I started to learn to say no. And I started to that it was okay to say no, that I didn't have to please everybody, that I didn't have to be everybody's rescue, and that people can handle their own life with joy and ease, that I don't have to come in and rescue every person. Good to know. Just jumping to the channel. Thank you. So it's a really good book. Boundaries. Use this oil. Set those boundaries so that when you start to want to journal and kind of look at those types of things in your life, that you're super strong and that you can do that. So that's all that I have for you today. Hopefully you learned something new and that it helps you on your journey. If you wanted to get started with doTERRA, just let me know. We can get you started. I always put links anyway, and you can always go ahead and jump in whenever you want to and take a look at that. If you just want clove oil, and maybe I'll put a link to the boundaries book as well, if you're one of those people just starting on that part of your journey, and then you can get that going. All right. Okay, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.